Hey, y'all. It is me, Sonja, and we are back again with another podcast. We are here trying to make sure that we're living our lives with a little less chaos. All right. So I'm super excited because as you can see, I'm in my work attire, and that's because it is the end of the day and this is a pre-recording. I am pre-recording this Monday's podcast because y'all, I'm gonna be on the beach. Okay, I am gonna be coming back from a quick little trip to celebrate one of my closest friends' birthdays, and I don't plan to be up at 7 a.m. Right, but for those of you who are gonna be working, y'all are gonna be up, so I figured I'll still do the podcast. Anyway, I'm super excited that you guys are here today because we're going to be talking about what we always talk about on this podcast. The whole goal is for us to make sure that we are getting our weeks together, that we are commanding our week, that we are actually taking a moment to make sure that we have all of our things together. Okay, so of course we're going to break down what was a good thing that happened to you last week, because it is something about dwelling on the good. It is something about dwelling on what good happened so that you can actually be resilient and be excited about what's to come. Then we're going to talk about what's on the docket. What are we actually going to be doing when we get back, when we get into the workplace, when we have all our appointments, when we do all the things. And then we're going to break down that intentional topic. Now, for the last few weeks, we have been talking about the stairwell to intentional living. And today we're going to talk about that last step. We are going to win by practice. And I'm super excited to talk about this, right? Because it is what we repeatedly do that transforms our lives. Okay. So we're going to break that down in the intentional topic of the week. And then finally, we're going to end off with prayer, because to make sure that things happen the way that they need to be, we need to be in prayer. Okay. So listen, I'm super excited for today's podcast. It's going to be a good one. So the first things first, Papa. I hope that was not a good reference. I'm sure for those of you millennials probably caught what that reference was. But anyway, first things first is the good things. What good thing happened to you this past week? What good thing is allowing you to get excited about what's to come? What good thing happened to you that you overcame, that you were able to deal with and break down this past week so that you can be ready for the new week to come? What happened? Right? Because when we take a moment to look at those good things, when we take a moment to actually pay attention to the good, man, we can walk into the new day with a little bit more pep in our step, a little bit more excitement. So my good things, since we're talking ahead of time, my good things is that one, I got through 2 days of work. I got a project done in less than, we'll say 24 hours, because it came in late on Friday. We were able to do it and get it done by Tuesday. Pat on the back of my team members. I got that project done before I left for my vacation. And then also, I had a good time in St. Martin. Yep, I'm saying it right now before I go. I had an amazing time in St. Martin. I'm so excited because I've never been. So it's going to be a really good time. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do fun things. I'll probably be posting. If you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, I've been talking about, getting ready, dealing with change and all that kind of stuff. And I've been talking real early in the morning. Now listen, I'm telling y'all this right now. Those lives are not, or those little messages aren't going to come early. They may come on the beach. They may come in the afternoon, but they surely are not coming at 6 a.m. because I'm going to be on vacation. So that's the good thing. That's the good thing that I'm going to be doing. Or what I did this past week. So what's a good thing that you got through, that you were able to deal with, that you had that happened to you this past week? What good thing is going to push you forward and towards your intentional living? this week? Tell me in the comments. Let me know, what are the good things that you are looking forward to, or the good things that you got accomplished last week. Okay. Now, the next segment, of course, is always what is on the docket. Okay. Now, let me tell y'all what's on the docket next week is getting back into work mode, and getting back into work mode pretty quickly, because I looked at my calendar and girl, your girl is busy. Okay. Meetings galore. The meetings don't stop because I was on vacation. Mm-mm. So I'm gonna have to really get back in and get raring to go quickly, so that I can get all the things that I need to get done. Okay. So that's what's going to be happening. There aren't any other really big things that I'm gonna have to deal with next week. Working with dealing with the meetings. I do have a couple of other meetings to do, to have for like church and stuff like that. And then prepping for a big event that we, as in my volunteer team, I'm the next steps director at my church's, at the campus that I go to church at. And that next weekend, the 29th, we have a really big event that we put on. It's called Fast Track. So we're going to be making sure that we got those last minute preparations. I was looking at my calendar. I was like, oh yeah, we got those last minute preparations to make sure it happen. So I'm super excited about that. And then there is Catalyst, one of my favorite times of the month, where our church has an extended time of worship. So it looks like I'm gonna have some fun next week. I'm looking at my calendar right now and I'm like, next week's gonna be good. Besides all the meetings that are happening, besides all of those, it's gonna be a good time. I'm excited. So what's on the docket for you? Again, the whole point to this podcast is to make sure that we're paying attention to what's next in our lives, so that we can be intentional about our moments, intentional about our time, because that's the whole point to living out our dreams and living out the things that we desire to see in our lives, right? Like, we have these big dreams, we have these big things that we want to see, but we're not paying attention, or enough attention, to our life to actually plug in the steps and the things that we need to do to make those dreams become reality. So taking a moment to look at your docket, to look at your week and say, okay, I need to do this and this and this. Oh, I'm going to have to move this. Oh, I can't have this meeting here because I have a bunch of other stuff to do, right? This is key to intentional living. So take a moment, look at the big rocks, look at the things that you have to do in your calendar. Is there something that needs to move because you have a new appointment? What has to kind of move around to make sure that you can maximize every single moment that you have? Okay? So that's what we're doing when we're talking about what's on the docket and how we're dealing with our everyday lives, okay? All right. Now, let us get into that intentional topic of the week. Oh my goodness. I am so excited to talk about this, because we have been talking about the stairwell to intentional living for the last 4 weeks, right? We've been talking about the first step, acknowledging, I can talk, our dreams, actually acknowledging the fact that we have a dream, that we have something that is big and seems scary and seems like something that we will not be able to do in the time that we have, right? That's what the first step is, to actually acknowledge that you have some dreams, that you have some things that you want to do. Then that second step is to live by principle. There's 6 key relationships in your life that you should be cultivating at all times. And when you're cultivating those relationships, you can incorporate that dream that you want to see happen and make it happen. So we should be cultivating that relationship with God, that relationship with our body, our minds, then our family, friends, and finances, right? You can have more, but you need to at least have those. Okay. So when we live by principle, when we establish those things that we want to see happen, those big, hairy dreams and desires that we want to see in our lives in those areas, and then we make real clear about where we actually are, and then we build out the next step, execute by process. We build out the goals right? We build out the routines. We build out the practical steps and things in our lives to actually make those dreams happen. Right. So that's where our goals come in. That's where our routines come in. That's where building those great routines, those key routines, those routines that are tied to our values, that's where that happens. Right. And then the final step, which we're talking about today, is winning by practice. We actually have to practice what we preach, right? And that is what our intentional topic of today is, right? We are going to be talking about the importance of winning by practice, the importance of taking some time to pay attention to our dreams and create the routines that we need, but then actually doing those routines, right? So I remember there was a quote that I learned from Aristotle. I can have all some of those kind of cool I don't even know what I was trying to say. But anyway, I know things. I know cool things. And I know this quote from Aristotle. And it says, "You are what you repeatedly do." And when your repeated actions align with your values, it can truly turn into big wins. So what are your repeated actions? Are they repeated actions that make you move where you are and where you want to go closer? Or are they repeated actions that cause you to move away? One thing that I still am working on, right? I work out with the best of them, and I have a consistent workout schedule. But for me, that repeated action that I still mess up on is my eating. I'm not gonna lie. We still working on that. We need, you know what? I might need to just pray. That might be what I need to do. Look at me getting a revelation for my own self in this in this podcast. But I am what I repeatedly do, right? What I repeatedly do every single day. That's what I am. So what truly are your repeated actions telling you, right? The key to your routines is that these small daily actions will turn into big wins that you're looking for, but you will not get them if you don't win those small battles first. If you don't take the time to pay attention to what you repeatedly do and shift it to what will actually gain you the win that you desire, right? So it kind of reminds me, of the Israelites that had to endure what they had to endure to actually get the promised land that God wanted for them, right? At first, it was just a 2-week journey. Then they messed up. And it ended up being a 40-year journey, right? And they kept battling throughout those 40 years of repeatedly going back, mistrusting God, all these different things, right? Until they finally got to the promised land. And then even when they got there, they was having problems. Okay. So listen, that it's natural. We're going to have problems. We're going to struggle. But the key to truly winning, the key to truly having that intentional life is to win those small details, win those practices. And I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do to help you with that. Okay. We're not going to make it real complicated. We're not going to make it confusing. It's going to be real simple. And when we come back in the next season, in season 2, which will be in May, it's going to start up in May. Is it? Yeah, starting up in May. We're going to actually start to talk about some practical things that we can do. Practical things like, how do we build a routine? What is the best type of routine? How do we build our goals? How do we build different things in our lives? A life of review. How do we do all that? We're going to talk about that in the next season, okay? But this season we're gonna go back to this winning by practice. And I'm gonna give you 3 things that you can do to make it easy, to make it just simple. Because the point to intentional living is to try to make things as simple as possible, but also just having our eye on it. So the first thing to do is to incorporate it into your daily movements. Don't make these routines real complicated. Don't make them real confusing, but try to find places where you're already doing something and just insert something else in there, right? So for instance, every morning I have to take medicine, right? So, and I really want to drink a lot of water. So what I do, I don't just drink enough water to take my medicine. I actually try to hit at least 20 ounces every morning, right? 20 ounces or more. So it's just that little change in my daily routine that's allowing me to get closer to this healthier living that I desire, right? So I'm not just taking a sip of water with my medicine. I'm actually chugging at least 20 ounces because that's something that I want to do. What else do I do? So another thing is that I love to have I'm trying to think of what other routines that I've built around things that I do. Can't think of anything else right now, but I do have other routines. So number one, incorporate it into things that you're already doing. You don't got to be extra. You don't got to be trying to build out this new crazy routine that you probably will never do. Just add a little something to something that you're already doing. Then the next thing to do, put it on your calendar. What's in your calendar more than likely gets done. Not all the time, but more than likely. So when you put it in your calendar, it's something that you are like you have and you make appointments with people, right? And you try really hard not to miss those appointments. The same for yourself. When you put it in the calendar, then that's an appointment that you're not going to miss or you're going to try not to miss, right? So for instance, one thing that I try to make sure I do is that I try to rest every single week, right? Every Saturday I try to rest. So what I do, I put that in my calendar so I remember that, oh, Sonja, you're supposed to be chilling today. So for the most part, that's what I do. Now, I don't hit it every single Saturday, or sometimes it doesn't look like chilling at home. It may look like hanging out with friends, but there's this reminder that says, Sonja, you are supposed to stop today. You're supposed to stop your work. You're supposed to stop your podcast. You're supposed to stop your business so that you can rest and recharge, right? So that's something else that I do. Then the third thing to do. So we talked about putting it in your daily movements, put it on your calendar. And the third thing is put a trigger on it. Ooh, we're doing those three things. Three puts. Put a trigger on it. When you put something, a trigger is something that you can kind of tie to a habit that you already have. So for instance, perhaps you already have an alarm. Say you want to be a runner, you want to be a track star, and you want to run every morning. Maybe you have your alarm that tells you to wake up and go, right? Well, then the added trigger, well, the alarm will be to wake up, right? The added trigger to run will be your shoes at the door or something like that, right? For me, my triggers are alarms. So like I don't have it on right now, but I have a watch where I have an alarm that wakes me up. Then the next alarm tells me it's time to work out. The next alarm tells me it's time to pray, right? So these alarms are strategic throughout my morning to make sure that I'm doing the things that I say are important to me, right? So that's the type of thing that you can do to make your routines that win actually happen, okay? So, what do your repeated actions say about you? Do they say that you're trying to win at your intentional living? Do they say that you're trying to hit goals? What do they say? And if they don't say what you want them to say, let's make some changes today. Did that just rhyme? I wasn't trying to rhyme. I was not trying to rhyme right there, but that works, right? Right? Um make the change today. Just do something small, right? Don't make it real complicated. Remember those three things. Incorporate it in your daily movements, put it on your calendar, trigger it. Maybe put something on your calendar that you want to see happen. Try it. Try it and put something in the comments below. I would love, love, love to hear and see what you guys are doing to actually win by practice. Okay? All right. You gonna do it for me? All right. Y'all better. Now, let's get into the last bit of this podcast, which is our Dreamboost Prayer. All right. Now, every week we end with prayer to kind of seal the deal, to kind of seal what we've been talking about and what we've been doing. Right. So let's pray together. Lord, show us how to truly win. Let us let go of ambition and follow the path refined for us. Help us to look at our repeated actions and decide what needs to stay and what needs to go. Help us to make our repeated actions something that we can win by. All right, y'all. Well, that is it. That is it. That is it. I am so excited for you this week because I know that you are going to kill it. Okay? Have an awesome week.